my name is Margot. Welcome back to another sewing video, because that's all I feel like making. This was once upon a time going to be a variety channel. It's not. Today, I wanted to show you a special haul. This bag is a bag of fabrics that my mom found while she was cleaning out a basement closet, and it is believed these are from my grandma's fabric stash. How my mom ended up with them, I don't know, but it means more fabrics from grandma, and in some quite substantial yardage too, which is really exciting. So part A of this is a haul, and part B is going to be taking one of these fabrics and making an outfit with it. The rest of these fabrics will likely be featured in other upcoming videos. We'll see. I make no promises, but I am going to do my best. Fabric number A is this lovely, I think it is a cotton. I haven't done like the burn test or the bleach test on any of these, but it is a very like loosely woven cotton with, I believe this is like the actual texture of the fabric that has been like chemically applied or something. I will likely be making a chemise or some sort of historical base layer out of this. It's probably about, it looks like it's 2-ish, maybe 2.5 or 3 yards. I then have, I believe this is 2 yards of a lovely sky blue cotton. I think I'm going to make a very Rachel Maskey inspired dress out of this, a cute little sundress. These two I'll show up together. My mom just put this in a bag because she didn't have time to wash it. But this is a very small amount of gingham. If you've seen my video making the pleated skirt from my grandma's fabric, this was actually in that cabinet and not in what my mom found this time, but it was very cute, and I was inspired by this set on Instagram by a small maker, and I figured this is probably just enough gingham to make some hot pants and a little crop top out of. And then there was also, this is probably like a fat quarter, honestly, if that, of just like a white cotton that I will use to line this gingham because it's pretty sheer. Now, the pièce de résistance of this haul is 3 yards of this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful polyester brocade. It is yellow and cream. Yellow's on the inside. Definitely polyester because my mom believes this is her mom's handwriting here. So 3 yards for $6. One, man, inflation really hurts. Two, wow. I mean, it's definitely not like any nicer type of fabric for that price, but it is very soft to the touch and very pretty. This is going to be the centerpiece of this video's project. I am going to make a Selkie dress out of it, or a Selkie inspired dress. I'm going to make the style that has the bustier bodice. If you want a more in-depth deconstruction of these Selkie dresses, I would recommend going and watching these videos. She did a great breakdown of the dresses as well as a pretty in-depth how-to pattern. I am for this, however, just going to use a circle skirt. The Enchanted Rose, I believe, is a bustier dress, Rose Cafe bustier dress pattern. I've already done a video on making that, as well as the maker of that pattern also has a how-to video of making the bustier on her channel. I think this is a relatively accessible way to hack this dress if you just happen to come across a couple yards of fabric. I also need to figure out how much I can get out of 3 yards. I do think if you are going to make a Selkie dress, you need more than 3 yards, but 3 yards is what I have. And so I'm going to make it work. What that means is basically just that my skirt may not be as full, but you know, think the style, even if the skirt isn't as full, would look very cute with this fabric. So that's what we're gonna do. This evening, my plans are to iron out this fabric, lay out my pattern pieces, see how much I can get cut tonight. And then depending on how long that takes me, I might start putting the bodice pieces together. We'll see, but I do definitely want to get the skirt pieces cut tonight because since it is a circle skirt pattern, the skirt panels will need some time to hang out and that bias will need time to stretch so there isn't any warping and my hem is even as possible, even though I haven't ever cut a straight hem. That is this video's plan, and if you want to see me make a Selkie style dress, stick around. This stuff is such a pain to iron. The wrinkles are not coming out and you like can't use, it's also so slippery. You can't use a frickin' high heat on polyester because it'll melt because it's plastic. So here I am fighting. This is only 45 inches, if that. Feels like it's even less than that. It's like 36 inches. Not a lot to go with here. So I don't know how my circle skirt patterns are gonna fit on this. All right, let's talk the crazy conglomerate of patterns I'm gonna use here. 1, can't make a dress without pockets. This is a very large pocket pattern. 2, for the sleeves, we are going to use J here. This is a reprint of a vintage pattern, also available on Etsy. This is the Rose Cafe Bustier pattern. Relatively small pattern pieces, especially at my body measurements. And then if you don't want to make a circle skirt, as easy it is as it is, this is a circle skirt pattern. This is what I used for my plaid skirt as well as my daisy dress. I have definitely laid it out on a narrow fabric before, but I don't know 100% how that's gonna work out. So that is what we're gonna figure out here. This is also the determining moment as to how full my skirt is going to be. Okay. I'm going to get only 2 circles out of this, especially if I want to, I don't know if I can get sleeves out of this as well. Oh my God. This is going to be one of those projects that uses every last scrap. Alright, so my goal here is to line that diagonal up, and I think there's a couple corners here that I can get the bodice piece out of, and I want to save as much of this bottom part as possible to try and make a ruffle out of, but I need to see if like there's enough corner pieces here to also make a puff sleeve, because I'm not confident on that right now. All right, I can barely fit 2 on these corners. So now I just have to make sure I can fit the bodice pieces and like all these little leftover scraps. So hang on. There's likely not going to be a ruffle, or it's going to be very small. The problem that I am going to run into with these pattern pieces is that there is a left and a right of all of these, and there is a wrong and a right side of this fabric. When you put those 2 together, stuff starts getting kind of confusing. Okay, this is what I have left. My goal is to get as long of a 4-inch strip out of this. It's about 8 inches. So we're just gonna divide that in half and start measuring and then cutting. Scraps I am going to save for when I inevitably mess something up with the boob cups, because that's gonna happen. And for making sort of like a hopefully 1-inch strip for the pockets, because there just ain't space for pockets, especially like, I mean, come on. What's the point if it's not gonna be a pocket that can hold an entire wine bottle? That's the goal, folks. That's always the goal. So I'm going to put all my scrappy bits together here, and then we are going to continue cutting down the strip here. Honestly, because I do want it to be like a ruffly ruffle, especially because that is the only way I'm going to get volume now. Now I have to measure this again in half and in half again, because even though I would like an 8-inch ruffle, like that would be freaking adorable to have a giant ruffle like that, there's no way. And even at 4 inches, you're only gonna be able to gather down to half, and I'd rather it be able to be gathered down into thirds on the skirt and then use the rest of that for the sleeve. I wonder what she's gonna make with 3 yards of brocade. It's not really a fabric she uses a ton, or I remember her using. When she was alive, I was hoping she would make my wedding dress. I don't know even if she was alive. Now she'd be 90 right now. Not getting married anytime soon. I don't know if she'd still be up to the task. But to be frank, I don't want to make my wedding dress. The AC was running before my dinner break and it's running now. I'm sorry. Cutting literally took me an hour and a half to cut all that out. A lot of piecemealing went on. We did it, we achieved it. I am now going to make an attempt to clear off my desk some. I don't know how that's gonna happen, so I can sew in my room. My goal is to get the outer lining of the bodice together up to where you start assembling the cups, and then to do the hemming and the gathering for the ruffles, because those are relatively easy steps. It's getting pretty late. I don't want to run into that wall of like getting frustrated and getting sloppy, so we're going to keep it simple this evening. Alright, so what I am doing is I'm working from the center out, which is usually how I have constructed this bodice in the past. So now we are on to the side panels, and I have been ironing my seams flat as I go. This is also starting to shed, so as soon as I get this done, I need to put in some stay stitching just so this doesn't absolutely come apart on me. Good morning, it's 6 in the morning. I've had insomnia for weeks, so I'm up and we're gonna sew. What does that mean? Step 1, adding bones to the lining piece of the bodice. This, we're gonna use originally the important parts here after my learning experiences with this pattern is that you need to leave space between the top and the bottom so you have enough room for your seams. So I am going to cut and measure my bones out accordingly. Welcome to the part of the video where I stop talking. Part of cutting the ridgeline out is making sure none of the edges are sharp so they don't poke through your fabric. Then I sew down either side of the ridgeline, attempting to make my stitches as straight and even as possible. For my third time doing this, I can definitely see improvement in my technique for this step. Off camera, I cut and sewed a lining layer out of some scrap linen I had, and then I attached the top edges of the 2 layers together. I've just finished ironing out the bodice. It has a linen lining with just some scrap linen I have lying around because I just have a lot of this white linen, so it's what's available. Next steps is to add the cups, which I still have quite a few steps. I still have to cut the lining and the foam layer out for the bustier cups. Ugh, it's like the hardest part of making bustiers, so I think I might, it's like 9 in the morning. I've been up since like 3 because I haven't been able to sleep. So I might take a little nap, go get a little snacky snack or coffee, and then when I come back, I will do my best at tackling the actual cups for the bustier. So this is cup number 1. I now have to do the other cup and the actual like fabric parts of the cup. Also, sorry for not really filming this. This just takes so much of my brain power that I cannot talk to you or like show you what I'm doing while I'm doing it, because I have to be fully focused on getting these stitches right. It is my biggest nightmare to do these. Basically, you have to make sure all 3 of your foam pieces are 100% even, and then you zigzag them down, and then you attach them to the fabric with prayer and persistence. Did these ones wrong sides together. I have good color recognition. I almost had a degree in graphic design, but for some reason, my brain cannot differentiate between the 2 frickin' sides of this. Fortunately, I think this is so far in the project only the 2nd time I've had to rip some seams apart, so that's actually relatively good. Okay, so what I have here is my pocket pattern. I am going to cut out 4 pieces of this pattern, so that gives me 2 nice big pockets. And then I'm going to take some of my scrap pieces and try and find one that will line this piece right here, which is questionable. So you don't see this like scrap linen that I have when I open the pockets, but you see the fashion fabric. So how I've prepped the pockets for stitching is that these are a raw edge, and then this is a folded over edge that I will stitch down, and then that way these 2 are the same, and then you flip them over, and that is the inside of your pocket when you open it up. Okay, all of my pocket panels now look like this. I have been sewing for like 3 hours straight now, and I need a wee bit of a break. So I am going to go get some coffee, because that's definitely not gonna, you know, mess with my ability to sleep at all tonight or anything at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. And then when I get back, I would like to try and get the skirt put together and maybe attach the bodice and the skirt. What I need to do for that is true up the panels of the skirt, lay them out, make sure they're even. I need to French seam until where the pocket will go on each side. I need to find the center back. I need to mark that. I need to mark where the pockets are gonna go. I need to do some French seams, which is gonna take up, I have used so much thread on this project. And then I am going to attach the ruffle. Now, how I'm going to do the ruffle, because this is such a fraying fabric, is I'm going to take a piece of twill tape that is going to be, so it will be the right sides of the skirt and the ruffle together, and then on top of that I'm going to attach a line of twill tape. I will then trim down the seam and stitch that twill tape over it. Yes, it means that my skirt hem will have an extra stitch line going across it, but if you're close enough to see my stitches, you are too close to my skirts. Let's be real. But that will just encase that raw edge, so I don't have to worry about it fraying, because this fabric frays like nobody's business. In hindsight, you should follow your pocket seams in place instead of top stitching, and future me can also tell you that you can French seam the pocket and the rest of the side seam in one go. It's not as complicated as I thought it was at the time. Good morning. Freshly showered, as is tradition at this point. Did not get as far as I said I was going to last night. The pockets were just a little bit of an emotional roller coaster. As far as I got was pinning the ruffle to the skirt, which literally took me an hour. The other problem I'm running into is I'm starting to get low on yellow thread. So we're gonna see how far I can get this morning with the thread that I have. And then there is a medium to high possibility that we'll be going to the fabric store tomorrow for more yellow thread, because I have to reduce the ruffles that are gonna sit on the sleeves. And I can do that in like white thread, but I still have to sew the hem of the skirt. I have to attach the bodice and the skirt, and I have to sew the sleeves together, but I will have to attach the ruffles to that, and the sleeves are gonna require a lot of top stitching. In fact, the rest of this project, about every third stitch is going to be some form of top stitching. We're gonna see when the thread runs out, and that's how far we'll get today. And then whatever we don't do today, we will finish up during the week. Okay. I took like a day and a half off from this project because I like don't know why I can never sew ruffles in correctly. Like there is always a part of the ruffle that doesn't get caught in the hem. So I like started the sleeves on Sunday, and just like the ruffles were just not working out, and I got way too frustrated. So I ripped all of the progress I had done on the sleeves apart, and I've mostly done one sleeve. Here is sleeve 1. I just haven't put in the elastic into this one because I wanted to do some other sewing before it gets too dark. And I had to do that sleeve so I can tell you what I did, because it's not intuitive. Okay, so step 1 is sewing on the ruffle to the bottom hem of the sleeve. 2 is sewing the seam together. 3 is applying the twill tape. I thought that was step 2. It's not. It is step 3. You'll do 1 on the bottom, 1 on the top. What I did for the top one as well is that once I ironed that fold over for the twill tape, is that I top stitched that down before I stitched it to make the casing for the elastic for the top part of the sleeve. That is important so that the twill tape doesn't like fold over and you don't see any of that in the finished sleeve. You have to leave a large enough space in between sewing your casings that you can get your needle through. Very important, because then you have to feed your elastic through for the top and bottom casings. Once you have your casings sewn for your elastics, you're going to attach it to the sleeve. All right, so this is actually my second time installing this ruffle here. The first time I tried to do all 3 of these layers together, and I'll tell you what, it didn't work. I'm not good at putting in ruffles, so I had to rip it out, which took forever, and re-sew it, which took forever again, and then sew around the circle hem a third time to attach this, and then I've just ironed it over, and I'm going to not sew up here, but closer to down here, so there's not like a huge stitch on this other side. So this will be the third time I'm going around the bottom hem of the skirt. I end up having to stitch the twill tape down twice. Too much of the skirt was getting caught up, and it looked bad, so I did it again. And I think I did it a third time. We are now going to attach the bodice and the skirt together. I am going to stitch across this, iron that seam flat and open, and then I'm going to take my lining layer, whip stitch that in on the inside. I then have this raw edge here. I'm going to fold that in make that a nice clean finished edge, and then I'm going to fold that over as well, stitch that down, and then install the zipper. We are on the home stretch. It is a new day. All I have left to do is clean up some of the fuzz that is sticking out of some of my hems and install a zipper. I have ironed all of my edges over. As you can see here, I have a bobbin with just like some old colored thread. I'm going to baste the zipper in first, make sure that it looks right, it zips right, that it doesn't need to be adjusted, and then I'm going to hand sew it in because, as Sostine has said, why struggle with it on the machine when you can do it by hand? It is honestly probably not going to take me too much longer to backstitch a zipper in by hand as opposed to having to struggle with it on the machine and probably rip it out once or twice because doing zippers on machines is so confusing. Okay, let's talk wrap up. This dress is by far one of the best constructed dresses I've made so far. It is by no means perfect, but I think that as far as like even hems and things being where they're supposed to be and it fitting, it's one of the best things I've made so far. And I feel, of course, incredibly beautiful in it. I am a princess, let's be real. This project was one of the first projects where I really held myself to a standard of, no, it's not good enough, let's do this again. And holding myself to that and making myself tear out seams that weren't perfect and make them better definitely shows in this project, and it definitely makes me proud to look at this project and know that I put so much time and effort into it and that it shows. I am just so proud of this, and I'm really honored to be able to honor my grandma's memory in this way by taking fabric that she owned that's been forgotten for 7-8 years at this point, and giving it new life and making it something that I can wear and I'll think of her when I wear it. So I'm overall extremely proud of this dress and how she came out. I do have other film stuff in the pipeline. It's just a matter of me editing it. So please go ahead, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you do know when I upload those videos and I get to my editing backlog at this point. Comment below, let me know what types of dresses or outfits you're interested in seeing me make. I have a love for the historical as much as I do a bit more modern looks like this Selkie inspired dress. So I would really love it if you guys stick around and, you know, let me know what you guys want to see. And I hope most of all that this inspires one of you to go out and make something today. So I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! And yes, in case you needed proof, you can fit a whole wine bottle in the pocket.
This looks like Belle on TMZ.
Oh my god, so you would not believe what Adam told me yesterday.